This is Northern Michigan, where last year, 8,000 people fled from Texas alone to Northern Michigan, seeking clear waters and four-season living. From Petoskey's $418,000 median home price to hidden gems at $310,000 located just outside of town, today we're going to talk about everything that's going on in the market. I'll reveal why so many people are leaving Texas and Florida for our shores, what to expect when you actually move here, and why moving here could be the biggest mistake of your life. As someone who's helped 600 families relocate to Northern Michigan, I'll tell you what other agents won't about living in Northern Michigan. As I mentioned before, 8,000 people have relocated to Michigan from Texas alone. That makes 5% of the people who have relocated to Michigan just from Texas. A large amount of people have also relocated here from Florida. It seems like recently, every couple of calls is somebody who currently lives in Florida that is wanting to relocate to Northern Michigan. When I ask them the reason that they want to both leave Florida and end up in Northern Michigan, I get a couple of common answers. First, everybody knows that Florida has been hammered lately with storms. And while that is incredibly sad for the residents of Florida, it doesn't take many storms before you start to wonder, where else might I want to live? If you mix big states like Florida and Texas having people relocating to Northern Michigan in droves, as well as the popular trend of working from home, that is causing every little town in this area to see major population growth. We started seeing this right around the time that COVID hit, that it seemed as if every single person that could work remotely chose to do so in Northern Michigan. And who can blame them? For the longest time, the biggest issue with living in Northern Michigan was the inability to earn a high wage. Now, with so many people being able to work remotely for companies that are not actually in Northern Michigan and earn high wages, it makes living in Northern Michigan much more achievable. As a realtor for over 20 years, I've seen many people move here for many different reasons. But one of the common threads that I see from a lot of people that are relocating here is that they have some tie to Northern Michigan. Now, while some people are choosing to live in Northern Michigan without knowing much about it, or maybe having vacationed here a couple of times, a lot of the people relocating back to Northern Michigan either have family here, grew up here, or have some other connection to the area and never dreamed that they could actually live full-time in an area that they vacation. Now, while people are relocating to Northern Michigan from other states, it does seem that Florida and Texas are the biggest feeder markets to Northern Michigan. So today I want to break down some of the different costs in living in Northern Michigan versus Texas or Florida, in case you're in one of those states and considering relocating to Northern Michigan. Now, while a lot of people talk about how expensive housing has gotten in Northern Michigan, compared to a lot of places in other states, Northern Michigan is still a bargain. In fact, our property tax rate is right about 1.54% of the property value. Now, that sounds like a lot, but if you compare it to both Texas and Florida, who have property tax rates well over 2%, it is still a bargain. If you compare home insurance cost in Michigan specifically to Florida, you're gonna find that it is incredibly affordable. In fact, for most houses, depending on the size and what the house has to insure, you should be able to pay about $1,200 a year for homeowners insurance. That is much, much less than Florida and even much less than Texas. Now, when we're talking about home insurance in Northern Michigan, you're going to have to add additional coverage to cover things that are snow and winter related that you're not going to have to in the warmer weather states, but that still makes the home insurance much more affordable here. I'm also asked about well and septic systems a lot because frankly, most places that people come from have city water and city sewer, and they don't have to worry about having a private well or a private septic. But don't worry, they're not as scary as they sound, and both of those should run you about $500 to $1,000 a year at the absolute most to maintain them, which is still much less expensive than being on a city water and sewer program. So if you're thinking about relocating to Northern Michigan, you're probably asking yourself, what is it really like to live here? One of the things that the people I've helped locate here, and something I personally enjoy and think makes Northern Michigan special, are the four seasons, because most places outside of the Midwest do not have four distinct seasons, and that certainly sets Northern Michigan apart. Let's start with the summer. Everybody who knows Northern Michigan knows this is one of the best places on the planet to be in the summertime. During the summer, the weather tends to be about 70 to 80 degrees. Some days it gets a little bit hotter than that, and it seems like a couple times this summer it even breaks the 100-degree mark. But this weather makes it perfect for water activities, whether it's boating, fishing, swimming, going to the beach. There is something for everyone here in the summertime. And one of my personal favorite parts of the summer is just how many different festivals we have in Northern Michigan. From the Cherry Festival in Traverse City to the local county fairs, the summer festivals are definitely an addition to keep you busy during those summer months. However, the downside of being here in the summer is just how busy it gets. Whether you want to drive across town or go out to dinner, make sure you plan ahead. And it seems like not long ago, during the summer months, you could walk into any restaurant and get a table. Now it is very important to make sure you have reservations ahead of time, because that is just how busy the restaurants get here in the summer. Right after summer, we go directly into my favorite season in Northern Michigan, fall. The temperature drops between 50 and 60 degrees, which is still extremely comfortable to be outside. The fall also has many great festivals, such as the Apple Fest in Charlevoix, which is one of my personal favorites. They have a small carnival downtown and many iterations of apples that are a lot of fun to try. Northern Michigan does get a lot less busy in the fall. However, on the weekends, it still sometimes feels like summer with all the people driving up here to view the beautiful colors. If you've never experienced fall in Northern Michigan, have never witnessed the red, orange, and yellow leaves, it is something you have to see. Now let's talk about the big bad winter. I believe winter in Northern Michigan gets a bad rap. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people who want to relocate to Northern Michigan, but are deathly afraid of the winter. And a lot of those people have called me later on and said, Gino, it wasn't actually that bad. Here are a couple of tips to survive the Northern Michigan winters from a local who has lived here their entire life. First, make sure you, your house, and your car are prepared for winter. Now, what do I mean by that? Make sure you've got good tires or even snow tires on your vehicle. Make sure your house is ready for the harsh winter and you have a way to get rid of the snow and a way to deal with the ice. And the best way to get yourself ready for the winter is make sure you've got adequate snow gear and something to look forward to. If you're not familiar with winter or winter in Northern Michigan, there are so many fun activities. Whether you want to be a daredevil and snowboard or ski down one of the great ski hills here, or cross-country ski, or just go for a walk in the nature, there is something that will get you out of the house in winter and make those tough winter months pass even quicker. I'm often asked just how much snow does Northern Michigan get, and we tend to average anywhere from 120 to 140 inches of snow annually, depending on which part of Northern Michigan you live. And yes, we get different amounts of snow in different areas of Northern Michigan. If you're familiar with the Gaylord area, that is located smack dab in the middle of the snow belt, meaning they get a ton of snow. And that is only about 45 minutes away from Petoskey, where we get much less snow. So depending on how much snow you like or don't like, that should determine what area you buy in. It's almost like trying hot sauce. Do you want the really hot stuff or the more mild stuff? And that's the best analogy that I can explain the different levels of snow in Northern Michigan. But I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Do you like snow or do you hate it? One of the things that I also like about winter is the holiday season in Northern Michigan. The stretch between Halloween and New Year's is one of the most special times to be in Northern Michigan. And then once you pass that stretch and you start enjoying your winter hobby, whether it's skiing, snowmobiling, or just being outdoors, before you know it, we're into spring. And spring is great in Northern Michigan because you can actually watch the area come back to life. It seems like as we trend closer to Memorial Day, the temperatures get warmer, you start seeing more people, and before you know it, you're in the heat of the summer. I think the shoulder seasons, which are fall and spring in Northern Michigan, are underrated because those are the seasons that allow us to both come back to life and get ready for summer, and then also slow down a little bit after the fall into the winter. Now let's talk about the amenities that you could expect in Northern Michigan. A lot of people come to Northern Michigan to retire, and the first question I often get from people who are considering retiring in Northern Michigan is just how good the healthcare is there. So I'm here to tell you the good and the bad about healthcare in Northern Michigan. We have two great healthcare systems here. In Petoskey, we have McLaren, and in the Traverse City area, they have Munson. We also have several specialists here, which means you're not always going to have to take a drive. But let's face it, when you're in a rural area, you don't have the same healthcare options as you would in a big city, which causes a lot of people here to have to travel if they have something special that they need looked at. And from all the people I've helped retire in Northern Michigan, none of them have ever told me that the healthcare made it prohibitive to be here. Also, if you're thinking about relocating here with a family, you're probably wondering just how good are the schools in Northern Michigan. You don't have to take it from me. We use a website called niche.com that rates local schools and has helped a lot of people make the decision on which part of Northern Michigan was right for them. A lot of our schools in Petoskey, Charlevoix, Boyne City, and Harbor Springs are the most highly rated schools in the state. And also, Northern Michigan does have a couple of private school options as well. And yes, we do have 2 community colleges here, one in Traverse City and one in Petoskey, which offer 2-year degree programs and also the ability to get 4-year degrees from other bigger universities right on their local campus. What about shopping? A lot of people are worried that they won't have any place to shop when they relocate to Northern Michigan, and that's simply not entirely true. We've got great grocery stores, whether it's Meijer, one of the Spartan stores, or even some of the smaller specialty grocery stores, such as my favorite Toski Sands. And as far as clothes and that sort of thing, we have great local boutiques, as well as some of the big box stores like Kohl's, Marshall's, and TJ Maxx. Also, something that's made living in Northern Michigan much easier from somebody that's been here through it all is the ability to get Amazon quickly. With the recently opened hub in Gaylord, it seems like our packages arrive in lightning quick speed compared to what they used to. Now that we've talked about the healthcare and where you're going to grocery shop, you might be wondering, where can I work in Northern Michigan? Now, I'll be honest, there might not be as many high-paying jobs in Northern Michigan as some larger areas, but they are still out there. In fact, we recently had Sam Bailey from the Northern Lakes Economic Alliance on, and he was talking about just how big of a hub Northern Michigan has become for manufacturing. Boyne City has done a great job of attracting some of the large manufacturers which offer very high paying jobs. So whether it's manufacturing, working at one of the hospitals, or something else, there are some higher paying jobs in Northern Michigan. And if you reach out to me directly, I'd be happy to connect you. Also, we've had several people relocate to Northern Michigan that want to start businesses here. And they have told me just how welcoming the community is, and how easy it was for them to get acclimated and start getting business from the locals. Also, a lot of people that watch these videos are considering relocating to Northern Michigan because they're able to work remotely. Something that Northern Michigan has done a great job with over the last few years is having high-speed internet in areas that normally didn't have high-speed internet. One of the main requirements we get for people when setting them up on their house search is make sure the house has high-speed internet access, and we're happy to do so to make sure that works well for them. Also, if you're somebody that works remotely but wants to get out of your home to work, there are tons of co-working spaces in Northern Michigan that allow you to rent an office by the day, by the month, or someplace in between. Another question I often get from people relocating to Northern Michigan is, what kind of car should I drive there? And that is such a fun question to answer because I love cars. Now, you can get a big truck with big tires if that's your style, or you can get a simple SUV with all-wheel drive. I've actually been asked, do you need chains on your tires or skis or tracks? And while I laugh at those questions, it is certainly not necessary. Any reasonable 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive car will work perfectly in Northern Michigan. And if you want to be extra safe, just put some snow tires on in the winter months and you'll be able to get around whenever you want to. Speaking of transportation, one area that Northern Michigan definitely lacks is public transit. I believe that if Northern Michigan had a more public transit system, it would definitely be an amenity to the area. In fact, we don't even have Uber or Lyft here. Now that we've talked about what it's actually like to live every day in Northern Michigan, it's time to talk about how much it costs to live here. When I'm helping somebody decide what area in Northern Michigan is right for them, I like to break it down into 3 tiers. There's the first tier with the most expensive places like Petoskey and Harbor Springs. There's the second tier like Boyne City, and there's a third tier like Central Lake or Bel Air. Petoskey's median home sale price is $418,000 and is known for having a vibrant downtown and a very accessible place to live year-round, as well as having a world-class hospital system. Located just across the bay from Petoskey is Harbor Springs, which is known for being a very high-end resort community, with many people choosing to relocate there to work remotely over the last few years. One thing a lot of people don't know about Harbor Springs is, yes, it has a tremendous downtown that looks like it came out of a book about quintessential resort towns, but it also is a very large area by size, meaning you can drive 15 to 20 minutes north of downtown and still be in Harbor Springs. Also in the winter, Harbor Springs is home to two great ski resorts, Boyne Highlands and Nubs Knob. One of the challenges about Harbor Springs is just how resorty it is. I think I just made up that word. Is resorty a word? That means that it's very busy in the summer and very quiet in the wintertime. It's also an incredibly expensive place to live, with the median sale being just over $500,000. An area you should definitely consider if you want to relocate to Northern Michigan but do not want to give up the amenities of a bigger city is Traverse City. With a median sale price of $450,000, access to tons and tons of big box stores, and a much larger population, some people who want to be in Northern Michigan but aren't quite ready to get away from the hustle and bustle love Traverse City. It is also emerging as a tech hub, which often surprises people. Mix that with some fun things to do like the Traverse City Cherry Festival, and Traverse City can be the best bridge for you between living in a big city and living in Northern Michigan. If you're looking for other great waterfront communities, but don't want to spend quite as much as it costs to live in Petoskey or Harbor Springs, then I would recommend considering Boyne City and Charlevoix. These both have great downtowns and are built around the water. In fact, they each have great boutique shopping as well as some of the best restaurants in Northern Michigan, all at a much lower price than Petoskey or Harbor Springs. In fact, the median price in Boyne City last year was $378,000. And I think Boyne City is one of the most underrated towns in Northern Michigan. You have access to high-paying manufacturing jobs, a town that was built around the water, and many places for the outdoor enthusiasts. Also, another great waterfront community that's a little less expensive is Charlevoix. One thing that I love about Charlevoix is the downtown is their main street, meaning when you're driving through Charlevoix, you get to see all the great shops and restaurants. Just don't get caught at the bridge unless you want to interrupt your schedule during the summer. Charlevoix is perfect for people that want a boat because it's located right between Lake Charlevoix and Lake Michigan, making it a boater's paradise. One of the challenges of Charlevoix, it is definitely the most seasonal of the group, meaning it's very busy in the summer and very quiet in the winter. Now, if you're not set on a specific area in Northern Michigan and you're open to places that have not seen prices skyrocket yet, then I would consider Central Lake or Bel Air. These are both great Northern Michigan communities that are a little bit more off the beaten path, but still offer a tremendous quality of life when living in Northern Michigan. If you look at Central Lake with a smaller chain of lakes and an average sale of $315,000, that is much less expensive than some other areas, and you're still able to live the laid-back lifestyle of Northern Michigan. And even if you're looking for a second home in either Bel Air or Central Lake, there are great second home options. In fact, Bel Air even has a ski resort known as Shanty Creek that's great, but just not as popular as the Boyne Resorts or even Nubs Knob. Now, these areas are less expensive for a reason. They are further out from the amenities of Northern Michigan, and if you need to go to the doctor or to a bigger store, you're going to have to drive a little ways. But if you're okay with that, consider Central Lake or Bel Air to save a little bit of money. So I get a lot of calls with people saying, I want to relocate to Northern Michigan, but I'm not super picky on the area. Where do I begin? And I often tell them to start by figuring out what's most important to them. If you're a retiree, do you want to be close to healthcare? If you have families, do you care about the school system? If you're a remote worker, do you need high-speed internet or a place to co-work? Or maybe you're even somebody looking for a vacation home that's only going to be able to use it a couple of months or a couple of weeks out of the year, and you want the ability to short-term rent your property. Whatever it is, we can help guide you to find the best fit for you and your family. I've lived here my entire life, and I've helped over 600 families relocate to Northern Michigan, and I am confident that I can help you find the perfect spot. If after watching this video, you'd like to learn more about what it's actually like to live in Northern Michigan, please reach out to me directly at 231-487-6141. And for more videos like this and everything Northern Michigan related, please subscribe to my channel. See you on the next one.